So guys, we have completed our indexer clustering and the forwarding tier setup. So now we are left out with the search head clustering setup and the deployer setup. Okay, so let's move on to that. So basically the search head clustering and the deployer setup is a few step configurations. Okay, so basically first of all we first deploy we initiate a deployer. So as you all know that the deployer is present in the same machine where the cluster master and the deployment server is present. So basically only one thing we have to do there in order to initiate a deployer. So we have to mention this in the server.conf file. We have to mention this particular stanza sh clustering, and we have to pass a parameter like which is pass for sim key. So this particular credential is used for wherever the other search heads, the search head clusters, if they are trying to connect to the deployer for the configuration bundles, so they will be connecting using this particular credentials. Okay, so the mainly the deployer is used for pushing the knowledge bundle. Okay, so in the forwarding tiers we call it as the apps, and then in the cluster indexing cluster we call those as configuration bundles, but in search head clustering we call those as knowledge bundles. Okay, so that's what we are going to do now. So we are going to initiate a deployer. So once the deployer is initiated, now we have to do search head clustering. So search head clustering in the sense, so we are going to club multiple search heads together so that they can share the loads across each other. Okay, sharing the loads in the sense, if you run a search, that search load may be maybe migrated to other servers as well in order to ease the process. Okay, so that's what we are going to do it right now. So now coming to the how to initiating the search head clustering. So the search head clustering will be done using one command, which is that needs to be run in both the clusters. Okay, so which is this particular command which you are seeing in front of your screen. So basically this particular command is Splunk init sh cluster config. So this initiates the search head clustering. We need to provide the credentials, the local credentials of the search head one, then the management URI. So basically the management URI is the URI of this particular search head, then the replication port. So because the data will be replicating, right? So that is the same port where we, so the replication factor. So the replication factor should be equal to the search heads, which is there. And then the config fetch deploy URL. So basically this deployment URL is for the deployer. So from where it is going to fetch the configurations. Okay. And then the secret key, what we have set up. Right, same thing, the same command needs to be run in the search head too. So once you do that, the search heads will form a clusters. Okay, search head and search head, to these two are going to form a clusters. Once that is done, we need to select a captain, guys. So why we select a captain is this all things is done like the the replications and and check whether the configuration bundles has been pushed to all the search heads or not, and equally distributing the loads of the scheduled jobs. Okay, so what do we mean by scheduled jobs is the searches which are running, right? So or the anything that is running on the search heads, right? All the searches. So that should be, they take care whether the loads are distributed across all the search heads or not. So that is what the captain, the role of a search cluster captain is. So basically, we need to we need to put this particular command in any one of the search heads. So once that is done, it will be automatically selecting one particular captain. And if one captain fails, then other captain will be coming up and he will be taking care of the administration stuff. And once that is done, we'll be seeing the search head cluster status. So these all things is used for initiating a deployer and creating a search head clustering. So once that done, then we are going to push a knowledge bundle from the deployer to the search heads. Okay. So what this knowledge bundle will actually contain is, so basically now we have to tell the search head, right? What the search head does, as if you go back to the diagram, so this search head is now going to search its data in the indexes, right? So we need to tell the search head like where you need to search this data, right? So that's what we need to do here. So that particular configuration will be present inside the server.conf file. Okay, we can create a different folder, or we can mention it inside inside the same folder as well, like inside the same local system local server.conf file, or we can create a separate app as well. Okay, which should be present inside this etc sh cluster apps. Okay, so that should be our process. Okay, And this should be done inside the SH cluster. I'm really sorry for misinterpreting. Actually, this particular the apps which are being pushed from the deployer to other search head, this should be present specifically on the SH cluster. Okay, and the configuration what we'll be doing, it will be should be present inside the server.conf file. Okay, so any apps what we are pushing with the help of the deployer should be present basically inside the search head cluster. So basically in the configuration files, we'll be mentioning that this particular mode. So basically the search heads, this particular mode is the search head, and where it needs to search for the logs, it is going to search for the logs in the basically in the let me go back to my diagram in the cluster master. So basically the cluster master will itself throw the searches into the any one of the indexes that the cluster master will take care of it. Okay, so we just need to put the URL of the cluster master, and once that is done, we need to run this particular command in each of the search heads in order to push the configurations. Okay, so let's do that quickly now. Okay, so let's first start with initiating a deployer. So for that, if we want to initiate the deployer, let me close the browsers first. And I think I'm seeing some errors here. Let me reconnect again to my open VPN. So let's connect to our deployer first. Okay, so the deployer, as you know, it is all present in the same server. So we'll get the IP address of that particular server. Okay, now we'll become root here. Now opt/splunk/etc/system/local. Okay, now I'm going to nano the server.conf file. Okay, so below this stanza, what you need to do is put one more stanza, which is this particular thing, SH clustering and the credentials, which it is going to communicate. Okay, that being done, now what we need to do is we need to restart the server. opt splunk bin splunk restart. So let us check whether our Splunk console is on or not. Okay, it came up. Okay, so now that being done, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the search head one and run this particular command. Okay, so in order to initiate our search head clustering, so let us quickly take the IP address of the search head one. So I'm going to parallelly open two terminals now, guys. So because these commands needs to be run parallelly as well, so that we can save some time. Okay, so I'm root here in the first search head. Let me open one more terminal as well. Let me go to the search head 2. Sorry, I didn't mean to connect to this particular actually. Yeah, sorry. So this is the one. Okay, I'll become root. So I've parallelly opened two terminals. Okay, so these are search head 1 and search head 2. Let me show you it, which is the IP address which ends with 87. So it's the search head 1. If you see here, 87 is the search head 1. And now the search head 2 ends with the 208 IP address. Okay. So now what I'm going to do in the search head 1, which is 87, I'm going to run this particular command. Okay. So this is because the management URI is 87. So I'll just completely copy this particular command and I'll go to cd opt splunk bin. Okay. Now dot backslash and paste this command. See, search head clustering has been initiated on this node. You need to restart the Splunk server for your changes to get affected. So I will quickly restart the server here. Okay. Meanwhile, that is restarting. What I will do is I'm going to restart the Splunk search head 2 as well. I'm sorry, I'm going to do the same configurations in the search head 2 as well. Splunk bin. Okay. Let me clear out the screen and run this particular command. Okay, his search head clustering has been initiated on this node as well. So we'll quickly restart this particular server as well. Okay, our search head one is restarted. So let's quickly log into search head one and see. Even our search head two is also restarted. So let us open that as well. Now, once you go to the settings, guys, you'll be able to see one more additional setting that comes up. Generally, it won't see for general Splunk instances, but once you enable the search head clustering, you'll be able to see this. If you click on the search head clustering, okay, so the search head clustering is getting ready. So basically, we'll try to confirm that as well from here as well. So if you see search head clustering here as well, it is also going to show us that it is not ready yet, because still we have not selected the captain, right? So our second thing is we have initiated the deployer, we have initiated search at clustering. Now the next thing is we need to allocate a search cluster captain. So in order to do that, we have to run this particular command in any one of the server, okay, in any one of the search head. So maybe I will run it in search head one maybe. So let me quickly do that. Okay, so let me clear out this dot backslash. So, okay, so if you read here properly, successfully bootstrap this node as the captain with the given service, right? So once that is done, you need to restart once again. Great. Our search head one is restarted. So let's quickly go to our search head one and see what it shows now. Let's reload this. Okay. So meanwhile it is still loading. What I can do is I can run this particular command, which is just checking the search head cluster status. Okay. We can even see the search head cluster status from the search heads itself, from the actually basically from the uh, command prompt. So let me type this command and let's see. Okay, still the process is going on. Let's wait for some more time. Right, in the search here too, we are able to successfully see, right? So there are totally two members. This is the first one, if you see, and this is the second one, right? 87 is my search head one, and 208 is my search head two. So both are up, and even the captain is selected. So captain is selected as the second one right now, which is 208. So let us go to the search head two, and if you see here in the search head clustering, if you see here, right? It is showing me both the search heads in the clusters, right? Let me reload this as well, and let's see if we are able to see it here as well in this. See guys, now both the clusters are up now. The search head cluster is completely up now. We are able to see the search heads in both in the search head clusterings now, right? So we see who is the captain and who is the member. So now once our search head clustering is done, now our next thing is we are going to push some configurations from the deployer to the of the search heads. So what the configuration is now, still our search head is not connected to the indexes, right? Still they are not able to search the data over the indexes. So what I'm going to do now in the deployer, I'm going to point the search heads to point to the cluster master. Okay, so once I point it to the cluster master, what it will do, it will automatically put the it will point out to all the three indexes. So that's what we are going to do now using the help of deployer. So for that we have to do a few configuration. What is that? We need to create a folder, and inside the path of etc ssh cluster apps. Okay, and there we need to create a server.conf file, right? So once that conf file is created, then we need to again put a clustering stanza. In that we need to put the mode as search head. If you guys remember this clustering stanza from the indexer clustering, we have made the clustering stanzas in the as the cluster master as the manager, and the other indexes as the slave, right? And we put the manager URI and the pass for sim key. Similarly, in the search head clustering, what we have to do, we need to put the same pass for sim key what we have set for the indexer clustering, right? So what will happen, right? It will also be part of a clustering, but this will be a search head. Okay, search head will be part of this clustering. So what it will do, so that the other three indexes will become peers here. Okay, so this is the configuration that we have to do. And once the configuration is done, we need to run this particular command in the deployer. So any one of the command, right? So this command is like it's for pushing the configuration changes to the search head once and search heads two. So that's what the requirement is for us right now. So let's quickly do that now. So I have before doing that, let me show you. So once we deploy these apps, right? So I'm right now in the cluster in the search head one. Okay, so the search head IP ends with 87. Let me show you by going to my AWS console. So the it's 172.31.45.87, right? So if you see here, if I go to cd opt/splunk/etc/apps, so you'll not be seeing any app right now. So what my requirement is, I'm going to push a app called search underscore peer, right? So I'm not having any app right now, if you see here. right? So that will be pushed by the deployer. Okay, so once I push the configuration changes. And similarly, one more thing what I have to show you here is I'm again in the 87 cluster, right? If I go to settings and distributed search, and if I click on the search peers, there are no search peers, right? So but once we push those configuration changes, you will be able to see those search peers popping out over here, right? So let us quickly do that. So I'm into my cluster master right now, so which is the 244, which is again the deployer and the deployment server. So what I have to do, I have to go to cd opt splunk etc sh cluster, then apps, right? So what I have to do here, I have to create a directory. So the name, the directory should be the app name, right? So I am going to name it as search peer. So once that is created, go into that particular app and create one more directory called as local, and go inside that as well. Now what I'm going to do, going to create a server.conf file. Once that is created, you have to just paste this particular stanza clustering, then this thing, right? So that being done, now what I'm going to do, I'm going to go to cdopt splunk bin, right? Now I have to push out these changes. So in order to push out these changes, what we have to do is we have to just run this particular command for any one of the target, either the first search head or the second search head, anything is fine. So just run this particular command and click on yes. Okay, so they say that the configuration changes has been pushed successfully. So in some time, let me show you this thing. In some time, I'm right now again in my 87 console, right? The search head one. So in some time, you will be able to see the configuration app. See, this previously, it was the previous run when we did ls, right? And at the start of the video before pushing the changes. Now once we push the changes, if I do an ls over the search head one, I do see a search pair here, right? Now if I go to search pair, if I go to default, the same configuration file will be here, right? So now once this configuration changes is pushed, now the search heads will be going through their own restarts, and once that restart and everything is done, you see, right? So there is it is showing like it is disconnected from the Splunk server, right? So because there are some configuration changes, and once that configuration changes is pushed, so they will the Splunk will automatically understand whether for this particular configuration change, whether there is a restart required or not. And if the restart is required, it will automatically restart your Splunk, right? Splunk service. So once that is done, you are going to see basically two things, right? If you see here in my search heads, so 244 is this particular IP address, right? So the IP address of the cluster master deployer and the deployment server. But there are two more IP address that has pop out, right, in the search head. So where do I see this? I have to go to settings and indexer clustering. So in that I'll be able to see this as well, right? So I've able to see one more IP address, so 208, so that is the search head 2, and 87 is the search head 1. In some times I will be able to see this event coming up, right? So let us wait for some time. Once this configuration is changes is done, we'll be able to see that as well, right? So now I'm in the 208, right? So how do I know that my search peers are set up? So if I go to settings, and I am right now in the search head 2, right? 208 is my search head 2 and 87 is my search head 1. So now if I go to 208, you'll be able to, if you need to go to the settings and then distributed search. Once you go there, you need to click on search peers, right? So now you will be able to see there are three indexes that are pop out, right? How did that come up? Because we pointed out to the manager. So the manager was the cluster master which is 244, right? So it automatically provided the search head with the necessary configurations, right? Which all indexes you need to go ahead and search, and it was able to point out to those indexes, right? And we are able to see. Now in some time, let us check whether 87 has even come up or not. Meanwhile, when that is coming up, what I can do now, if I go to search and reporting, now if I'm going to type index equal to underscore internal, and if I'm going to search over this, You see, right, guys, I'm able to see 7 hosts right now, right? So what does that mean? So that means that our whole configuration is successful right now. So I have what all host I'm able to see right now. So this particular machine is my Windows machine, right? So where I'm aware of, so the Windows machine which is sending the logs to the heavy forwarder, right? So basically this universal forwarder, then the Linux universal forwarder. Let me show you the IP address as well for the Linux universal forwarder. 78, right? So let me check whether 78 is reporting. See, I'm able to see the logs for 78 as well. So with plus upon that, I will be able to see the logs of the heavy forwarder as well. So that is 251. 251 is even reporting here, right? So now if I go to indexer 1, even I'll be able to see the logs of indexer 1, 2, and 3. Let's go to 172. I'm able to see 172, right? If I click on indexer 2, 63, I'm able to see the 63 as well. And if I click on indexer 3, I'm able to I'm able to see the 65 as well. See, so if you have come till this far and if you have done all the configurations correct, you'll be able to see the logs of all the forwarding instances on your search heads, right? So this is the complete setup of distributed. See guys, now I'll be able even showing you the console of 87 right now, right? Even the 87 search pairs are also set up, right? So the 87 means the search head one. So where all even I'm able to see all the search pairs. So, search pairs are nothing but the indexers, right? If I go to the indexer clustering, if I just do a quick reload, right, you see all my three search heads are up now, right? Now if I go to apps and I go to searching and reporting, now if I type here index equal to underscore internal, and if I click press on quick, you'll be able to see all the 7 hosts here as well, right? All the 7 hosts I'm able to see here now as well. So so that's the complete setup of a distributed deployment, right, guys? We were able to successfully set up all the instances, and even after setting up all the instances, we are able to configure it successfully as well in order to see the logs from the low tier forwarders to the search heads, right? So that's what is all about this particular distributed search, guys. Thanks.